Greetings, Dan Halligan with KNT Games, and welcome to Season 3 playthrough of our quarantine match between Howard and York. It was my hope, since I had a compliant audience who had nothing but time on their hands to listen to me, that I could drag my feet, go very slow, and make sure that I played brilliantly and didn't make any errors. Well, as you can see from what's been posted so far, neither of those things have come to pass. Buying this breakfast room was just a boneheaded move. I mean, quite simply, I did not look ahead at the service requirements to make that tile useful. It was a mistake, obviously neglecting the cabinet of curiosities for so long. But we're having fun. And so if you'll forgive the pedestrian play, I do unfortunately have to correct a couple more errors. So these four cards come from the C4 Take 2 favor on the Gable Conservatory in round 8 that I neglected to take. And we have C4 Take 2, and I'm going to correct that now. This really shouldn't impact anything, because I was after this billiards room with a head of steam, and that plays gentlemen, and it turns out we're going to take two ladies from this favor here, so nothing was impacted. The other thing I forgot to do was to take a reputation every time you play an estate tile, which are tiles in this category. I didn't take my reputation for that. That I'll correct right here. Again, that doesn't really change anything. So we have some new cards. I'm going to go ahead and read a couple. The Lady Victoria Turner, the beautiful niece of the Earl of Kellynch. Lady Victoria is a twin and a lover of continental culture. Wonderful favor, a victory point. She's a keeper. As is the Honorable Anne Bennett. Yes, I'm pilfering some last names from Anne Austen's repertoire. Miss Bennett has acquired a reputation as a consummate hostess at a young age. So this actually features a favor that previously has only been seen with the lady of the house, which is to screen a guest. So that's very nice. Comes with a victory point. Not a bad little guest here. No service. And two favors, one of which with a head housemaid can make that quite a useful card, but I think it's not as nice as my option with the two ladies. And an unsavory guest, one of my favorite pictures. Boy, he looks like a cad, doesn't he? However, he functions almost like a American Heiress Light in his mechanics, although he's really heavy on the negative victory points. These two are not going to join York's circle of friends, and these two go into the active hand. So I don't think there's any violence done to the gameplay. Let me make a quick comment here. And that quick comment is about scoring. I'm going to grab a score pad and I'm going to show you. The way that I did scoring with Obsession is we have 7 different categories where you can accumulate victory points and you total them up. And one of the things that can happen in Obsession is that the gap between the winner and other players can be sizable sometimes. You might play a game and be 131 to 129, and then the next one you would be 142 to 88. And I'm here to, again, use the extra time I have to make a point that I've made on Board Game Geek forums, which is there's no difference between those two outcomes. The reality of this game, reality of life really, is that the rich get richer, and we are playing a game of the British upper class, and anyone who gets ahead of steam and gets ahead is most likely going to have better favors. You're going to have better favors on tiles that are more prestigious, and you're going to have better favors with guests that are more prestigious. That is thematic, but it does not represent a degree of victory or a degree of defeat. I'm almost a little bummed that I didn't do an alternative scoring system that I had in mind when I developed this, and that is to just give a small number of points. In other words, you would total up your victory points for your two tableaus, for example. Let's say it was 42 and 29. But those would only determine how many endgame victory points you got for that category. For example, 3 for the first place person, 2, 1, 0 if there were 4 players. And I would make that 3, 2, 1, 0 proportional to the importance. So for example, improvement tiles and Gentry VP might generate larger victory points for those categories, where you might, and reputation, where you would have smaller amounts for service, wealth, maybe something in the middle for courtship. So that even though you might have a score of 155 to 99, the actual end would be 14 to 11, if you sort of get an idea for what I had in mind. I didn't do that because there's consequences that are non-thematic that come from that. In other words, somebody might drop a category of development as far as these 7 categories, as far as seeking victory points, in order to go in another direction. And we would get sort of a non-thematic neglect of an estate. This is really about all of these things being important to the restoration of the family's reputation and return to society. So it didn't happen, but I want to emphasize that the gap really is something you don't even notice. Right now, I don't know who's ahead and who's behind here. I'm feeling a little better for York than I do for Howard. But Howard's got a very big power play that's going to pull the reputation even, if not put that family ahead. Who knows what that courtship is going to be? Could be something that actually really plays, like for example, could be prestige. That would play into Howard's hands. We also, these 2 competitors right now are on a trajectory that I could see this finishing 160 to 100, 99 to 102. They're really almost anything. And so the idea here is I did the scoring afterwards without the track that sort of pulls people out of the theme and gets them focused on how far I'm behind or ahead. That we play the game, we pursue all these objectives. By objectives, I mean all these categories of improvement, and then we see where the chips fall in the end. And again, the game turns out to be a great experience. It doesn't matter if it's 2 or 20 victory points, the gap between the winner and second place or the loser. So that was a little sidelight. I took advantage of the fact that I have a captive audience. Forgive me. So let's get busy. We're going to get to Season 3 Variable Courtship. And we have 10, which is 1 to 4, 5 to 8. So that is right there on round 13. We've gone and discarded our objective card, and we're going to the national holiday. The first player marker is coming over to Howard. Let me move these props here. And let's take a peek at what Howard's got going. And I think it's pretty obvious that Howard is going to be playing this Cabinet of Curiosities. So let's go to our order of play. Rotate service. Let's do that. A lot of service there. Look at the service. That is a full house of service. Check the round track. We do have a national holiday. This functions like it's at max. And we have no monuments and no servants' hall here. And we're ready to play, and it is going to be the Cabinet of Curiosities. The only weakness in the staff I see here is perhaps a footman weakness, but they do have the servants' quarters. Maybe they can work around that. So we have that, and we have 2 to invite. And, I was going to do the Russian connection. I'm going to zoom in here. I was going to do the Russian connection, but I think we need to recover from the pain of Thomas Allen Hurt coming to our estate. We've come to know and love him. He is a man of unimpeachable integrity and character, and we're going to get to enjoy. Oh, but look at that. Yeah, no, I got that. See, I did that hiring action. That made that possible. So we're going to enjoy the Baron Narishkin, who's going to give us a screened. Do I want to screen second level or first? No, I'm going to screen the first. We don't have anything for the hall boy. Now here's a case where, because I'm at 3, I'm going to go ahead and use the cook, and the cook is going to get us a point of reputation, which is a good thing. It's going to really build on the reputation play. Let me make a point about the cook. I put this on the back of the 2nd edition of the rules for Obsession because it's so critical. Every one of these events is just a highlight event for what is a visit to the country estate. We're not talking superhighways and automobiles. We're talking 1860s England. Yes, the Industrial Revolution is under the way, but getting from point A to point B in the heartland of Britain is not a fast process, and if you get someone who comes to visit you, it's not for an afternoon and a departure. I'm sure that happens. People live a little closer, but most of the time they're staying at the estate for a period of days. So while the visit to the Cabinet of the Curiosities is the seminal event of that visit, the cook is working for the duration of the visit. So it didn't seem to make sense that why would you be able to deploy a cook on a bowling green? What is she going to bring out, appetizers? No, that's not the point. Bowling Green is one event that took place over the course of a longer visit. And our longer visit here is from Thomas Allen Hurt and Count Dmitry Konstantinov. Let's get our reputation. We have our servants' quarters, so we can take from there. And we are good to go. Let's start with money. We have none here. Fortunately, we have 400 in play. And we're going to look at reputation, and we have 7 reputations. So we're going to go, that's 5 reputation, 1 full circle of the wheel. 6, 7. We're now tied York over here. And we get look at 2, keep 1 on the casual guest invite. Whoa! So we have, oh, that's the casual guest that I was hoping to find for the laundry, because I can start refreshing her with an extra female servant. Look, I have 2 over there now. I could have done that. I will do that in the future. And she gives us a prestige guest invite, and that is Miss Penelope Hill, an original card. And we have over here another original card, which is another CAD. And you know what? Roger, you're toast. Put her in the active hand. That's the screening. I can't remember which one would have been mine. I think it would have been the CAD. That's the value of that head housemaid. Let's focus there. We're going to pull this unscreened here. Oh, wow. Margaret Fairchild herself. Let's read this, a promo card. Margaret Dowager Countess Fairchild, the Grand Lady of Alderley Hall, is the pride of Derbyshire and aunt to Charles and Elizabeth. Beautiful favors. I have to play her at 7. Now, if this was a standard play game, that would be equivalent to max. So she's some distance off in the future. My gosh, if I could have had her for this national holiday, she could have been played. But we'll get there. We'll get there. Wonderful card. And now we go over here, and this is where our faith in the young Thomas Allen has produced us. Ooh, 5 victory points or a bonus servant. If I'm close, well, that would be a trade-off. I was thinking if I was close to that 13. But still, 5 victory points is a real nice pull. Look, that's equivalent to winning a in-season courtship, not the end one, which gets you the Fairchild card. But that's a whoops, sorry. That's a big number. So that's great. Let's break this down and flip this over. Wow, up to 7 victory points. How about that? So we get up to 7 victory points. Put that in the discard pile. So we're cleaned up and we have 400 pounds to spend. And I'm thinking this is one of the points I'd like to make when You've lost a courtship. I don't like how I stand in the courtship to service. I'm in a bad way unless I think I can get into a monument or I start spending a lot of purchase effort on service tiles. I'm also trailing, if I can pivot here, I'm also trailing here. I'm also trailing here. I'm trailing here. I think my gamble here, it's a bit of a gamble, but I want to pursue prestige. I want to get ahead in prestige. And to me, to pick up this smoking room is just a nice pickup that's going to generate 4 victory points in this category. So I'm going to pick up that smoking room for 400 pounds. Can't use the useful man in his quarters because I already took somebody out of the quarters for the service tile. Before we move over to York for their round 11, we want to go ahead and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We want to grab our milestone marker and we want to claim that 4 victory points on that second milestone. So the milestones appear like they're going to be a draw. Also, we slid our tiles, but I never grabbed another. And we have a service tile, the Servants' Hall. This is a tile that really is probably the most polarizing tile that I put in the game. It is definitely a take that tile because this allows you to steal reputation. The new rules is that it does require a servant, doesn't matter which one, a servant, available servant, in order to do the gossiping that results in the reputation being stolen from your opponent. That at least applies a little bit of rigor to the use of the rumor mill, a little cost. You have to give up the utility of a servant for a couple of turns. But for those of you that don't like take that, there's no harm done by removing that from the game. And that'll be part of the variants catalog that I'll eventually finish and publish online. Going to come down, that's going to the tile reserve. Reach deep in here a little bit. Oh, check this out. Got our second monument of the game, although that Queen Suite can flip into a monument. And that is the big game trophy room. That goes there. Now that just percolates through. Now the wheels start to turn. The smoking room, which cost Howard 400, he might be thinking, darn, wish I had hung on to that, but you couldn't have known. So let's slide over here and pick up the turn with York. So this is York's national holiday, and York's national holiday, they really don't have that ideal tile. You like to have a real muscular tile to make a splash when you get to the national holiday. York really didn't do that. He's going to have to go to his Queen Suite and to make an acquisition to make sure that he continues to have a path forward. So let's do the order of play. We're going to rotate service. We are going to take for a monument. That'll flip us up to 5. The one good thing about doing the Queen Suite is that it will get, after he plays the Queen Suite, it will get York up to 2 monuments. He's going to be enjoying 2 reputation per turn. That's very powerful in its own right. So let's go ahead and take the Queen Suite. Put it up here. We're going to have the lady. We're going to go to, ta-da. Let's zoom in here. So this says, just the rule, says 1 prestige guest. Now this is a special category of prestige guest, but those 2 fleur-de-lis underneath the Fairchild crest indicates that, and indicates that this is a prestige guest, and that's the reason that Charles triggers the young lady's admire bonus, because she would be seen with a male prestige guest if she was being paid conspicuous attention by Charles. So we have that advantage here that she qualifies as a prestige guest, and I'm going to be doubling the invite favor. And let me first provide service and not get ahead of myself. You know what? I feel like I don't have any I wonder about that walled garden. I think I'm going to pick up that. I need a path. Sorry, thinking out loud. So this, because I'm at 5 and about to be at 6, and I'm not going to get far, Margaret Fairchild, this cook is going to be used routinely throughout the remainder of the game unless I pick up that walled garden for 1 reputation for every activity that she rotates into service. I'm not going to need her to entice guests to my estate because my reputation does the enticing. But she still benefits me, albeit not as much as early in the game. People should keep in mind that a cook is an asset that you want to use early. Otherwise, the cook is like a half of a monument, and that's not what you want. So we have the cook here. That's going to be for reputation, and we're going to use this here. Now, we're doubling that favor as part of the Queen's suite, but that does not double the impact of the head housemaid. She is going to screen the first use of that. So we all look good and set up here. Let's go ahead and execute. So we're going to look at 2. Actually, we take reputation first, so let's go ahead and grab 2 reputation plus 1 for our cook for 3. And we're going to look at these 2 top cards and see what we get. Wow. So in looking here, I have too many ladies, so I'm going to pass on the Honorable Regina Washburn and go with John Lord Brooks. Him in the active hand. Sorry, she's probably never been turned down in such a insulting fashion. And that was the first, and then the second. I get a little focus there. Oh, Sherlock, a promo card. Come on, focus. So Sherlock Holmes, detective, the renowned detective fly fishes in Baslow with Viscount Ashwood, and when he comes in, all cads, gossips, and scoundrels are, or when he's played, I'm sorry, because remember, a card that comes into your active hand is not at your estate. That's like in your Rolodex, your Victorian Rolodex. And so only when he comes to the estate and people see that Sherlock Holmes is visiting your estate do the cads, gossips, and scoundrels decide, you know what, I want out of that Rolodex because of the way I operate. So anyway, Sherlock comes into my hand, and that will be handy if I have. Let me look. Do I have? I don't think I have. I don't have any unsavory types, so Sherlock's going to be in good company. So we're done. Let's break down. Flip that over. Now we have an estate. We have an estate monument in the Queen's suite. So now I will get 2 reputation each turn. That's nice. I have 400 pounds, and if you take a look, I'm going to flash out. If you take a look, I have no tile that I can play unless I replay it. Now that billiards room, taking a look at my, yep, I can use that billiards room. Oh, wow, can I ever. So I don't mind you reusing that. That could lead to a very, very, very big play for me. So I'm going to be a little bit, I'm going to bank this because that's in play. I like my ability to get a lot of money. Take a look at the billiards room on the back side. And just so you can see what I'm looking at in my hand, I'm looking at these 2 are the only 2 gentlemen I have. And you might say, oh, and I got brushing room, good. You might say it requires 3 in that billiards room for a competitive game. I think I'm betting on Sherlock if they're shooting pool. In a competitive game, but I have my carriage house and I can use that. So that's where I'm thinking. I'm going to bank that and see if I can make a stab for that monument there. Now, I did play the Queen's Suite in my barn tells me anytime I play a tile from this estate category, I get another reputation. So the reputation is piling up for the Yorks, and we're done here. Let's go to round 12. So it's Howard's turn on round 12, and I got to tell you, I'm alarmed. I'm in the brain of Howard now, and I'm alarmed. Let me slide over here because I think this is key. If you're playing this game and you're just sort of drifting on the current, this is a situation where I can see Howard getting totally trucked by York. So look at where York is. Okay, York's got 2 monuments, so he's got a little reputation engine going every turn. He literally doesn't have to work for reputation for the rest of the game because he's got 12 reputation in his future if he does absolutely nothing to get anything from a guest or to get anything from an improvement tile. Also, we've got no money over here. We've got 400 pounds here. We've got a lot of money generating tiles that it can be a cosmic certainty that York's going to get that. If that happens, he's got 18 reputation for the remainder of the game. There's 6 rounds after this round. Actually, I take it back. 12, and he's got 21 reputation without getting anything from cards or tiles. That then can put him in a position to accumulate money, to replay tiles. He doesn't have to worry about building up his tableau as much because he's got one of the significant victory point boxes checked. So if I'm Howard, I'm panicked here. And I have to get that monument tile. Now, it's not impossible. I've got the cards to get it done. But I tell you what, it takes a little bit of, I don't want to say courage, but if you're not really sort of laser focused on the vulnerability that Howard is facing right now, and you let a turn slip away from you, game's over, and you're going to have York strolling to victory. So this is a critical turn. Round 12 here for Howard, absolutely critical turn, and this is going to be the tile that's going to turn the tide. So let's go ahead and look at our order of play, which is to rotate service. We're going to check the round track, nothing going on there. Monuments, I don't have any. Servants' Hall, I don't have any. And let me suggest that that's something that I think that Howard should gobble up soon. We'll talk about that. And we're now ready to host an activity. We're going to the English Garden. Unfortunately, we're going to have to tap our footmen from the servants' quarters. But the mechanism for getting that monument is going to reside with our American heiress. And I'm going to have to take a little bit of a reputation hit because of the way that my cards lay out and one of the strategies that I'm deploying. So if you take a look here, I'm going to suffer 3 reputation hit. Now I've got... You know what? I'm now recognizing I have that housekeeper available, and I think I'm going to slide over to Lady Elise Gilmore here in order to offset some of that reputation. That puts me in a better position. I'm also going to take the hall boy. He's going to improve the 700-pound favor there. And in taking a look at this, now I have the ability to get after that big game trophy room. So let's start out with money. Money is 700 pounds. One of the reasons, before I get started, one of the reasons I want to play her is next turn with the laundry room. I want to use that cook to refresh her and bring her back right away. One of my strategies here with not only playing this tile, but with playing her, is I want to go hard in the direction of prestige guests as one of the offsets for maybe the strength in York's tableau. So let's get back to that. So we have 800 pounds here. Grab that. We have reputation. We only are going to lose one. Invitations. I would have loved to have pulled her, but we're just going blind here. And we're going to get Theo Lord Marshfield, the jovial peer, dotes on his enormous family, many of whom are in constant attendance. Not a great card. Would have liked to have screened. And actually, since here we're going to screen, I'll see what my screening action would have brought me. It would have brought me this lady who's vastly superior, and now I get to C2 take 1. So this is interesting here. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. I think I gotta lean here. She's new. Let me read her. Camellia, Dowager Countess Elliot, a great beauty in her youth, the dowager has become reclusive following the death of her beloved husband. She is unfortunately going to remain reclusive as she goes back to the bottom of the deck. Sorry. And are we done? We are done. Let's go ahead and break this down. And we have a desire to purchase that big game trophy room. We're going to take, I'm going to flash out here. Whoops, sorry, didn't mean to do that. We're going to take the useful man, put it over there. That will reduce the cost of this to 800, which is what we have. Greatly bumming out York, who says, wait a second, I forgot about that American heiress. And we're going to place that here. We're going to reach over, and I dropped it on the ground. Where did it go? Oh, there it is. I'm going to put that reminder tile there because I'm a forgetful guy. Flip over that English garden and retire these ladies. And now I think that's a strong recovery. It makes sure that there's no monopoly by York on the monuments that are in play. So back here with York, I need to repopulate that market space there. Going to reach in and we're going to pull out a flower room. Now, flower room's of particular interest because there's a very nice objective that Howard can complete by picking up the flower room in conjunction with the English garden. That goes there. So York reeling a little bit after seeing what he thought was a sure grab by playing the billiards room, the last monument there, the big game trophy room. He's got to think about things. Going to rotate service while I think, like that. We do have 2 monuments, so we're going to go boing boing and get up to 6 reputation. York is leading here in a courtship, so we're about to have a courtship reveal next round. York is comfortably leading here. If Essentials comes up again, he's home free. York is comfortably leading here because he has that 2-point barn, so he's got 5 to only 3. York is comfortably leading here because he's got 8 victory points to only, well, 7. I forgot the English garden got flipped. Now that's interesting, and there's some state tiles out there. It seems to me it would be useful to York to maybe grab an estate tile to lock up this by making a final play in round 14 by flipping a tile. He could protect himself here. He could try to close the gap here. He's getting smoked. That's 13-2. He could pick up that long gallery, at least to be in the game. And that smoking room would default to him because Howard already has a smoking room and you can't have 2 of the same tile. And now that I look at this, here we have 8-10. Over here we have 9. What was a dominant lead for York here is not now so dominant. That tennis court might be a play if I get it played this round. I think the best thing I can do is stick with the billiards room play because the billiards room play is going to allow York to bank a lot of money in anticipation of that upcoming revelation as far as the courtship. And I think that we had already sized up that we were looking at John Lord Brooks and Sherlock Holmes. using the carriage house over here. Let's zoom in. And we can use that useful man for, let me see, what do I got under that? That's a builder's holiday. That's also a good thing. He could actually bank some money and go over into the reserves for cheap. So let's look at our money. We've got 600. One is 700, so 700 pounds. Real strong position for York as far as money is concerned. Reputation, we get 2 from Sherlock. 1, 2. The invitations, we have a second level invitation. Nice, very nice. She's a quite a powerful original prestige guest, Madeline Countess of Knollwood, because she's a rare bird that has no service requirement as a prestige guest and a prestige invite. That's a nice pickup right there. And what are we going to buy? I think I'm giving up on chasing the prestige category because with my monuments and with some of the guests I have, I'm going to have absolutely no problem hitting max reputation. I think I want to protect my preeminence here because it's a known courtship. And I can get into this promo tile here, which will be an easy flip and allow for a big group on the backside. I think I'm going to do that. So that right there is 400 pounds. It still leaves me 700 pounds to be very, very nimble in responding to, and the other reason is that I do get reputation when I use these, in responding to whatever the courtship produces. So get that. I might as well, since I got you here, slide down. I'm going to dig deep in this bag, see if I can find something juicy. And we got a new tile. It's a stocked lake. This is in the upstairs, downstairs expansion. It's an introduction of a prestige rating 6 sporting tile with just a tremendous 7 victory points on the back. Great money. That's a prize tile. That's almost a mini monument. That does require, obviously, the tile to be flipped from the -1 on the front side. So let me double check and make sure I did not neglect anything. I got to rotate my dude for my carriage house. Did not play an estate tile. Everything looks pretty good. So we're now going to go to a revelation. Let's bring you up here. Zoom in. We move to the next round, round 13. We have our reveal and our theme for season 3, which is the last season where this will stand on its own. Whatever this category is the sole thing that's going to be evaluated for this season. Where in season 4, we're going to evaluate all revealed themes. Oh! Howard just did a backflip in the end zone and spiked the ball. How the world turns. Fascinating. Come over here. Take a look at Howard. Going to flash out here. No, not that. Going to flash out here, and I even got to pull back. I think Howard has the prestige category locked up. It'll be interesting now because York's got to decide whether they want to make sure to be in the game for the, of course they want to be in the game for the final courtship. They're going to probably have to get that long gallery in the smoking room. Howard could actually totally, I'm not going to say lock up because there's 2 monuments here, but boy, if he gets the long gallery over here. Okay, I've got to speed the hell up. Even by quarantine standards, man, this is just going too long. I'm going to try to be a little more surgical here. So let's go ahead, and we do have a builder's holiday today. So let's go ahead and rotate service. We do have a monument. So let's go ahead and take that reputation. Doing a little editing here to move things along. I decided to go to the breakfast room because I think the breakfast room is going to enable me to do a couple of things. First of all, I have I'm going to be pulling housekeeper from the servants' quarters. I'm going to be using that screening action there, and I'm going to be sending the cook to the laundry to refresh this guest back to my active hand so she can be used next turn. Now, what do I accomplish here? Why do I like doing this? Well, first of all, I have 500 pounds. It's a good amount of money. I do also get 4 reputation. I want to elevate that reputation. I don't have another national holiday, and I want to play Margaret Fairchild. So I'm going to take 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Flip me over to 5. By the way, shout out to, I think it's Frank Calcagno, who is the one who recommended this little stacking mechanism. I used to keep them separate. Somebody else, I think, might have recommended it. If I forgot you, I apologize. So that was the reputation side of things, and then we have an invite here. Let's see what we get. Oh, interesting. Miss Elizabeth Jones is really one of the better unsavory guests because of her invite. And, you know, the fact that I'm playing sort of a prestige guest strategy a little bit, I think if I didn't have recent good fortune, which is the winning of the current courtship, as well as the acquisition of the one monument, I would probably go sell out in this direction. But this new guy is a nice one and a good pop of money. Let me read him. Theodore Marshfield, Esquire, the youngest son of Lord Marshfield, has a passion for British military history. So put him in the active hand. Put her at the bottom of the casual deck. And we're going to go ahead and break down. Another reason is that I'm flipping a tile here in a category that's going to be scored. I think that's important. I could neglect this all game long, but my reputation at the time being 4, didn't have much of a path. I have a smoking room and a babbling brook. So I've got 500 on a builder's holiday. Whoop, let me slide her up there. I'm going to grab the servants' hall. And I just want to keep the pressure on York by sort of negating one of their monuments. Now, I do have to spend a servant doing that each turn, but I like that. I like that pressure, sort of staying on the attack. Come over here, and we're going to do round 13 for York. Let's go ahead and rotate service. Pull this over here. We have our 2 monuments, so we're going to get up to 7 on our reputation. Margaret Fairchild, come over to my place. And we do not have a servants' hall. Our opponent does. That's not too pleasing a thing. Okay, there's always stories, and when you bring promo tiles into play, sometimes the stories may add an extra chuckle. So I've got a problem. I have only ladies left in my hand, and as I take a look, I need a gentleman and a lady for the summer house. I don't really want to pass right now, and I don't have a path. I have money to buy my way to a path, so I don't want to squander this turn, and I certainly have a lovely guest here. So I'm going to play the summer house. Requires no service there. I'm going to refresh one of these footmen by going back down on my reputation. You may think I'm nuts here, and there may be a few people who are barking at the screen, but stick with me for a second. I'm going to reduce the number of people showing up at the summer house for the romantic rendezvous to just the lady. She's going to be stood up. She's going to be by herself. So I have no service that's required of this particular activity. Not that I don't have some service. Let's go ahead and flash in there. And I will screen that invite up here, which is a single casual guest invite. I will also cook a little bit for the Countess of Knollwood's visit. And then I'm certainly going to use the useful man, which I got to be careful because I do not have a servants' hall, but there's still 2 turns to the next village fair. So I have the poor Countess of Knollwood being stood up by a gentleman caller in her romantic rendezvous at the summer house. So what do we have? We have look at 2, keep 1 here. I'm being careless of spending reputation because I'm going to have absolutely no problem hitting max reputation. So I feel somewhat empowered. I'm going to take the young lady there because he's a disaster. And put him over there. And then I'm going to take a look. Oh, I love it. Some of you who know of Carol, Duke of Hazelton from the first printing, notice that I changed the portrait. There's an interesting story there, which I'm not going to tell at this minute. But that's the new image. I like it. And the influential Duke has a connection to Derbyshire and his youngest son, who married into the Warwick family. So I have a great card pickup there. So, and I did get a reputation over here, did I not? So I get one of my reputation back. We're going to pop down. Very little service was used in the making of that disastrous event. She goes over here. And now let me flash out a little bit. I do have 700 on a builder's holiday. Now I can get to 700 for that long gallery right from the get-go, and that is probably what I'm going to do. I have to do it. I just have to get after that. So I'm going to spend 600, bank 100, because I'm going to use my useful man. I'm going to bring that down here, pop him over there, and flip this tile, net 3 more victory points for a known courtship category. Some of you might say, you know, I can't believe he traded away the reputation and did one guest and didn't just pass. I really think that I wanted to use the Countess of Knollwood and that I have the reputation to spend. I have no doubt that I will get to max reputation. I have that reputation to spend. That's quite an advantage, and I want to take all use of that advantage as I can. So let's slide this down, dig deep. Let's see what we get. And we have another long gallery. That's a disaster for me. That is a disaster, because that just gives an opportunity for Howard to lap me when it comes to the prestige courtship. That's a bummer. Okay, sorry nobody bought multiple tiles this turn, but I think we're in good shape. Let's go back over here. Flash in. We're going to turn 14 and slide. Trying to speed this one along a little bit. Let's look at the order of play. Let's rotate service. Try to be a little neater. Round track, we check the round track and we have nothing going on. Monuments, we have one. I'm going to give here. Servants Hall, we do have. Going to back this up a little bit. Let's just review this. This is a modified Servants Hall. We've talked about it before. I need to place a servant now. So I can't do all my allocation of service for my activity and then take a leftover and put in there. I've got to think about that ahead of time. This has to be done at step 2. Gossip takes a while to percolate. And so I have to look at my service, and I'm not going to do that live on camera here, but I got a little problem because I can't provide service to my 4 gentlemen. Well, I could do that. You know what? I think I'm going to go to the smoking room. So that means one of these ladies is going to be available, one of these ladies' maids, and so I'm going to gossip with the ladies' maid. I'm going to steal from York by revealing just horrible things about them and take that for myself, helping me negate their advantage in monuments. And let's go ahead and pop the smoking room up here. And that will be the butler. And we are going to have 2 gentlemen, one of which is going to be the young man. Zoom in here. And I'm going to be able to take from the servants' quarters one of those valets, and I'm taking a look at my options here. I'm going to the son of Lord Marshfield. I like his money. That comes from there. I'm going to take this Hall boy. It's going to bump that favor from 200 pounds to 300 pounds. And I have a useful man that can discount something for me. So let's see what we got on the money front. I'm going to take the 300 here, and I'm going to take 100 from the young man. So I'm going to get to 400. And I'm going to have 3 reputation. 1, 2, 3. I'm finally at 6. Almost to being able to invite Margaret Fairchild. And I think we're done. So let's go ahead and break this down. And so I have 400 pounds, and I need a little bit of a path. And you know what? I want to stay after the money. And the croquet lawn here is really cheap at only 100 pounds. I'm going to go ahead and pick up the croquet lawn. Let me flash out. I'm going to pick up the croquet lawn because it's very cheap, and it gives me additional victory points in a category that may come up on the 4th category. I don't know, but 100 pounds, that baby's a steal. I'll go ahead and do that off camera. So round 14 here for York, and interestingly enough, we had the music room come into play, which is a big deal. It means that there's just a lot of points on the hoof available for both competitors for the category of prestige, which is clearly going to be counted. So let's go ahead and rotate service. And we have 2 monuments come up here. We do not have a servants' hall. And whoop, I never took off the carriage house, and I rotate him over after that interesting last turn of the Countess being stood up. And we are here on round 14. What is York going to do? There's no question that York is going to the long gallery. Great reputation play. Continue to build that advantage as far as flexibility, being able to trade that away in special action. Let's try this. So what do I have? I have 4 gentry that are going to come to the long gallery. And I'm going to be using her favor, which allows me to play people that do not require service, casual guests. So I'm going to do the Lady Isabel. I'm going to come with her. There'd be no service required for her. Focus. I'm going to come with her. There's no service required for her. I'm going to come with her. There's no service required for her. How cool is that? That is so bomb. So I don't need to use any of those, which is really going to set up the next term. I really am going to go the whole term here with just using the butler and yet get all these benefits. So in taking a look, we have money. We have 100 pounds from the Lady Isabel. A little light there. Reputation, we have 4. We have 8 reputations. So we go to 7 is 5, 6, 7, 8. I am at 8 reputation. I love that. Great power and flexibility. And an invite. No, this icon right here means that they don't require service. Oh, I missed 200 pounds over there. Sorry about that. So put that tune. That's a little better. Gets me up to 400 pounds. So go ahead and we're going to cycle these. And we're going to flip this. And that's a nice flip. 7 victory points. So I have 400 pounds. What am I going to do? And I think the play is to get into the smoking room. I know it's a category that's going to be scored. I'm a little nervous about this, but I've got a village fair coming up. I'm guessing that Howard's going to be going for that flower room to lock up that 11 victory points. By the way, guys, I made a mistake. I know you're going, no, Dan, you made a mistake. I'm supposed to start with 4 objective cards, pick up 4 over the course of the game and discard 4 and score 4. I started with 5. The reason that that new rule came into effect for extended play to start with 4 is because in the higher player counts, there's not enough objective cards to start with 5. So it doesn't do us any harm. Just a reminder that I'm only going to be scoring 4 objective cards at the end of the game. That's an important consideration. But I'm going to grab this smoking room for the 400 pounds. Slide this down. And it is time to wrap up season 3. So if we take a look here, we're going to this courtship. Gee, I think Howard sort of squeaked that one out. I'll go to my hand as York and pull the lovely Elizabeth Fairchild. And Howard's going to grab Charles because they've got to make sure they get to max reputation. And right now it's 6. They don't have any unflipped prestige tiles. Going to grab Charles. And Howard grabs one of these, and we have 4 in a second level prestige guest. Put that over there. There's now 3 cards. Turn that a little bit. 3 victory point cards. That's quite an interesting thing. So we need to discard. Let's flash in here. We need to discard one of these. Whoops, I just knocked my tableau apart. We need to discard one of these, and I think the stateroom is going to go because all of these are in play. Got to hire that guy. I've got that. I have not got that yet, so I need to buy one of those service tile reserves, and I've got 2 of those, so those are staying in play. Let's swing you over here. Take a look, and got this. I don't think, we don't have a dining room out. I don't think that's going to be it. This one we're going to get next turn, just to give you a little preview. That's working well. I don't think I want to hire again. I've got a pretty good deck. I don't think I want to hire again. I'm actually going to leave, in case I get a dining room, it could be a late pickup for 9 victory points. I'm going to discard those 13 servants. So those go back to the bottom. And let's swing back to our track and see what we have as far as our variable courtship. 12. 1 to 4, 5 to 8, 9 to 12. Goes right there. Round 18 is when we will reveal the final courtship.